Welcome to Narrative Strokes. Today we are listening to The Humming Led Me Deeper into the Backrooms. I shouldn't have followed it. This is part 2 of our backroom story. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, the link is in the description below. Today's story is also Choose Your Own Ending, which will lead us to the finale of our story in the next video. So make sure you vote in the comments. Let's begin. I chose the humming. Maybe it was stupid, choosing sound over silence in a place that didn't seem to follow any natural law. But the darkness of that sloped corridor felt too final, too dead. And the humming? There was something human about it, something lonely. I stepped forward cautiously. The light above buzzed like a swarm of hornets as I passed beneath it. The sound pulsed in time with my footsteps. The humming grew louder, still distant, still echoing strangely through the corridor. But now I could almost make out the tune. Something repetitive, melancholic, like a lullaby half forgotten. As I walked, the wallpaper changed. Not all at once, just in small, unnerving ways. The yellow stains turned gray. Some of the walls had scratches on them. Long, horizontal, as if something had dragged claws along the length of the hall. Other spots had faded handprints, high up near the ceiling, too high for a normal person to reach. I told myself not to look too closely. I told myself the humming was leading me towards someone, that it had to be another person stuck here. Someone like me. Eventually, I found a door. It was metal, industrial looking, different from the rest of the paper-thin drywall maze I'd been stuck in. A keypad was mounted beside it, its screen cracked, but still faintly glowing. The door opened before I could even touch it. It didn't creak. It slid open silently, revealing a room that looked like a break room, sort of. A rectangular table, bolted to the floor, 4 mismatched chairs, a microwave with a shattered display. There were posters on the wall, corporate-style motivational ones, but they'd been warped and smeared with water damage. One read, "There is no I in team," but the words had partially melted, leaving only "There is no I." I stepped inside, and the humming stopped. Immediately, I felt something shift. Not the floor, not the air. Me. Like I had passed through an invisible threshold, and something about me was now different. My limbs felt heavier. My skin prickled like a static charge. I turned slowly in place, examining the room. In the far corner was a vending machine, the kind that sold off-brand chips and soda. The glass was cracked. Inside, instead of snacks, there were small white boxes. Plain, no labels. A few of them were open. One had what looked like hair inside. Another contained a broken pair of glasses, smeared with something dark. The third one, I couldn't tell. Something fleshy. I backed away from the machine. That's when I saw her. There was a woman standing by the wall, or facing the wall. I hadn't noticed her when I walked in. She stood completely still, her long hair hanging over her shoulders in greasy strands. She wore what looked like pale gray janitor's uniform. I didn't want to speak, but my mouth opened anyway. "Hello?" No response. The humming began again, quietly, from her. She was humming the same song I'd heard in the corridor. Her voice was soft, almost childlike. The moment I spoke, she froze. Her shoulders twitched, just slightly. Then her head turned, slow and stiff, like it hadn't moved in years. Not all the way, only enough that I could see the side of her face. No eyes, just skin, stretched tight over empty sockets. Her lips didn't move, but the humming continued, louder now, pressing against my ears. It felt like it was crawling into my skull. I stumbled backward, knocking over one of the chairs. The crash broke the silence like glass. The woman twitched again. Then, suddenly, she moved. Not a step, a glide. She was across the room in a heartbeat, inches from my face. No eyes, no mouth, just skin, and a voice that came from somewhere inside her. She smelled like rotten bleach. Her head tilted slightly, as if listening. I didn't breathe. Then she reached out. Her fingers brushed my temple, and the humming stopped. I was somewhere else. Not physically, not exactly. My body still stood in the break room, but my mind had been pulled deeper. I saw flashes, images, a flickering slideshow behind my eyes. A man in a lab coat screaming silently as a hallway swallowed him. A camera lens melting. A file folder marked levels 0 to 6 unstable. Then I saw myself from behind, standing in a hallway I didn't recognize, watching something crawl toward me on the ceiling. And then I was back. The woman was gone. The break room was empty. The vending machine was dark. The lights were off, and the door behind me had vanished. I spun in place, no exit, just walls. But one of the walls had a seam, a narrow, jagged crack just wide enough for me to slip through. I hesitated, then pressed forward. I emerged into another corridor, this one slightly different. The buzzing overhead was now rhythmic, almost intentional. The lights flashed in a pattern. 1, 2, pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. Over and over, like code, like Morse. I ignored it. I moved forward quickly now. The encounter had shaken me. I didn't care if I was going deeper. I just needed distance. The corridor twisted in unnatural angles. Some sections sloped sideways, forcing me to press against the wall to stay upright. At one point, I passed what looked like a window, but it showed nothing, just black, as if space itself didn't exist on the other side. I kept moving. Eventually, I found a stairwell. Real stairs, concrete, winding downward in a tight spiral. I paused at the top, catching my breath. A sign on the wall said, Level 1B, Maintenance. Below it, scribbled in marker, Do not listen to the humming. Thanks for the late warning. I began my descent. The stairwell was lit by bare bulbs spaced irregularly. Some flickered, some didn't work at all. The air here was dry, dusty. It smelled like burnt plastic. Halfway down, I passed a rusted handcart loaded with sealed barrels. One was open. Inside, I saw what looked like a black, tar-like substance that pulsed gently, like it was breathing. I didn't stop. The stairwell emptied into a maintenance hallway. Bare concrete, rusty grates, exposed pipes along the ceiling. It looked more like the basement of a hospital than the surreal hell above. For a moment, I almost felt relief. Then I heard the scraping. Something was dragging itself toward me from deeper in the hall. The lights flickered rapidly now. No rhythm this time, just chaos. I could see glimpses of a figure ahead, crawling. It made a wet, slapping sound with every movement, and its limbs bent the wrong way. I had seconds to react. I looked around. To my right, a rusted utility door slightly ajar. To my left, a narrow service tunnel lit with red emergency lighting. The dragging sound was getting closer, accompanied now by a wheezing breath that sounded like it had teeth. I didn't know what either direction meant, but I had to choose. Now, it's your turn. Option 1. Enter the rusted utility door and hide inside. Option 2. Sprint down the red-lit service tunnel. Vote in the comments to decide what happens next. Whichever path you choose, you better hope it leads out. When I have enough votes on one particular choice, I will continue the final part of the story. So make sure you like, subscribe, and vote. Feel free to discuss your theories in the comments below. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, then comment down below and let me know what you think. I'll see you next time with another story. Until then, keep smiling and don't forget to like and subscribe.